Thank you for listening to the Unscripted Dreams Podcast with Joe and Marcus. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email us at unscripteddreams@gmail.com. If you're interested in listening to exclusive content that includes bonus episodes and our hindsight video series, please join us on Patreon at the Unscripted Dreams Podcast. If you're listening to our podcast on YouTube, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. Thank you. All right, man, let's go.
As we know, life is full of surprises, both good and bad. The day-to-day journey is full of unforeseen obstacles, and sometimes it's hard to see our way through. Beyond the norm and mundane are where unscripted dreams live. Join us for thought-provoking discussions and interviews to help us navigate through the fog and create our own path. We are the Unscripted Dreams Podcast, operating outside the margins to motivate and inspire our audience. So today's episode brings us consumerism.
Consumerism, or, buy stuff. Buy stuff.
So we're going to be talking about some nitty gritty type stuff, man. You know, we all are impacted by consumerism. We all benefit from it. We all, we do all this, that, and the third, all the above with consumerism. Let me start off with a quick definition of consumerism. Consumerism simply means it's the protection of rights and interests of the general pool of buyers, or an obsession with buying material goods or items. So consumerism is pretty much more about materialistic things that pretty much drive us to satisfaction, self-actualization, and self-esteem. So ideally, when you think about consumerism, you think about buying things that you don't necessarily need, but more so what you want.
Yeah. So consumerism, you gave a definition, Joe, which is pretty solid. On my end, consumerism essentially it encourages the acquisition of goods and services, like in the increasing acquisition of goods and services. Would you agree with that?
100%, man. 100%.
Materialism is, I was working on this, Joe. I was thinking materialism is more so a symptom of consumerism.
Yeah, I
believe so. And consumerism, there's a lot to go into on this, but it's prevalent all over the world.
Right, because, consumerism has good and a bad side like anything else. Yep. Like, consumerism drives economic growth, and we need that to boost, innovation for new ideas, new inventions, new things. And, of course, it comes with the fair share of problems or issues with environmental damage, moral issues, and, also higher debt levels and mental health problems because you can't pay off those debts. So everything goes hand in hand as far as consumerism. So it's not necessarily a bad thing because, you need to eat, right? So you need transportation to get to your job, right? So the question is, how do you limit, or how do you have a good, healthy balance of what you need and what do you want? Like, do I need a Mercedes-Benz or a 7 Series BMW with tinted windows that nobody can see in to pull up to work every day to make my money? Or could I simply drive a Toyota Camry that's probably 10 years old and has the longevity of 1,000 lives to get, to and from work? You know what I'm saying? Like, at that point, it's a personal preference, but realistically, man, that's where we're getting to as far as consumerism. Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah. And I think, it's layered, and I'm glad, Joe, that you broke down the different levels of consumerism, because it's not all bad. It's not all good either. There's pros and cons to it. And like you said, Joe, the growth of the economy is one that's important. But then, like, the other issue that I'll probably focus on the most is just the psychological consequences of consumerism and how it it really affects, well, it affects you as much as you want it to.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
But yeah, but it's also something that, you know, you have to, if you don't understand like how you get caught up in it, then you're just like a victim. It's almost like you're just getting swept up like in the undercurrent or in waves in the, you know, in the ocean or something like that. It's like something that's it's just so powerful that you can't get away from it unless you really take time to, you know, really look at what's going on. Like you said, you're like keeping up with the Joneses. There's a movie or something that I watched a while back about that. It's pretty good, man. It's just about this. It's like just about this family where they're trying to keep up. I mean, and they're cheesing it up on like some high levels too. But it really tells you a story of just the cost, man. Just the cost of, you know, keeping up with people. But I think what's kind of the deeper question is that, you know, why are we all consumed with consumption, and what encourages us to consume so much? So, Joe, I'd like to ask you a question, and, you know, when was the first time you kind of identified that you were maybe a victim of consumption or consumerism?
I'm glad you said it, because I know I say that a lot. I listen on my podcast, but I'm glad you said it, because I really was about to go on a tangent. I just wanted to let you have the mic for a minute, man. But let's talk about my freshman year of college, man. So my freshman year of college, man, you know, I didn't necessarily have like the perfect setup, but, you know, I had a little bit of, you know, a little pocket change, you know, so, you know, I was feeling myself. So, you know, when you were in high school and stuff like that, and, you know, I did work towards the end of my high school or whatnot. Like I worked on and off, but like I worked consistently once I graduated at Circus City. That's another conversation. But but what I'm saying is that's like when I really started touching money in that manner. So, you know, like I'm thinking about, okay, well, you know, what I want is I want to buy shoes. I want to buy video games. But what I was into and I'm still into is shoes. Like, so, you know, Jordans was my whole thing. Like that was not necessarily my life, because that makes me sound like a bum, but, you know, it was very impactful. Like that's all me and my friends would talk about. We would get, like, it was the thing to rock. So even still to this day, really. But, you know, like when I went off to school, I spent my money on release dates of Jordans. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, well, shoot, you know, I already set with the food. I'm already set with everything else. And I learned a quick lesson there within that first year, man. I started off with, I want to say maybe $1,500 saved up. You know what I'm saying? It's not a lot. A lot of, you know, some kids have more than that, but, you know, that was good for me. Yeah. Bro, by the end of the semester, I probably had maybe $300 to spare. And it was literally off of the sole consumption of liquor and J's. So the liquor part, I'm sure you guys get, you know, that's kind of like a social status type thing. So it kind of ties in with the consumerism with clothes. So, you know, you got to look fresh when you go out there, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But, you know, when I went out there and, you know what I'm saying, like every month just buying Jordans and stuff like that, man, like I learned a valuable lesson really quick, man. Like I like these shoes, I'm wearing them, but at the same time, I only can wear Jordans maybe like for real. Like I only wear my Jordans maybe like, if I'm lucky, 3 months out of the year. So, you know what I'm saying? I never wear them in the winter. That's just stupid. But what I'm saying, man, is you spend all this money and you're not even thinking about all the stuff you need. So yeah, man, I mean, go on a crazy rant there, but as far as like consumerism with Jordans, man, like, and the whole thing was like, that was a prime example of me being consumed by consumerism. Not only was it the fact that I had a passion for shoes and basketball, but it was deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was part of culture to the point where I felt at that point in my time, being 18, 17, that was everything. That was everything for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, my shoes was more important than me having a car. That's how I looked at it, just because that's all I knew at that point in time.
Yeah, that's important, Joe, what you said. I mean, it's a good story. Thanks for sharing. So it's really, when you look at why you're a victim of consumerism, and you look at the first, the first time when you realize you're just really overly concerned and caught up in consumption of items. I start to think about, for me, just being in high school and people who have, it's really not even high school, but just as you're growing up, people who have nice things, or the latest and greatest things, or, they dress nice, and there's, they have these material goods, people gravitate towards these people, and it's that's just a way to get attention. If your clothes are nice, you have what's popular, people are gonna, treat you a certain way, so I think that, and then it goes also to, I think, marketing, advertising plays a huge role in that as well. And you're watching TV, all you're doing is all those commercials are just companies trying to sell you their products. That's it. And you look at things just like ads, and Joe, have you ever are you familiar with the series Mad Men?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Very slow to start. If you check this show out, it's slow to start. I wonder what I was watching for the first couple episodes, while I was watching it. But shows like that kind of give you a window into just marketing, advertising, and how they essentially build these campaigns to target you in a certain way, to make you feel a certain way. You have to think that you're bombarded by these advertisements, and you're constantly exposed to, buy this, buy that, and if you watch the show, even if you've worked in a field where you're able to get access to marketing. I had a job where I was actively working with the marketing team, and I've actively saw them build campaigns, and you would see in the advertisements what they would do is they would actually, I was at this conference or seminar where they actually showed us the ads for the company, and they showed us what each piece of this ad is meant to do, just certain items in the ad, the computer in the ad, or something's driving you to use a computer, or driving you to use a mobile device, or you specifically use this individual in the commercial because they resonate with the target audience, and just all this stuff that gets put into these ads, and you think they're just they just throw these things together, but there's a lot of work that goes into the psychology of people. And I think that's the big thing that gets me when we discuss consumerism, is just the psychological component, and how, that really affects you. If you grow up, Joe, you were saying, if you were referencing, just wanting to, dress wear Jordans and all that stuff.
Right.
You really look at, well, what factors played into that. And when you see that, people, the people you associate with, or the people that maybe you aspire to be like MTV, Cribs. I see it's some stupid stuff on Netflix that I would never watch. It's called Dropping Cash or something like that. They almost idolize these people, or the media says to us, where you idolize these people who have this amount of, like, they're rich or they have some level of wealth, and they just invest in all these material goods. And I think, like, when you're younger, or if you don't, like, have that level of awareness yet, that you attribute these things to what you think those things will make you happy. And you think that if I have these things, if I have if I have these shoes, if I have this clothing line, then, I'll be happy. People will love me. I'll get attention, and you'll feel better about yourself. And I think it's just a constant bombardment of things that society places an emphasis on. And if you look at, like, Joe, if you just look at what's trending, like, an investment video will never be trending. It's never going to be a trending video. It'll be a video of, like, some rapper or some artist or some celebrity, like, watch how I spent $1 million in a day, or some, like, excessive amount of cash in a day, and on the various things that they bought, because people have an interest in that. And that's what's.
But also, can I include that we're not designed for, to have outside perspective of thinking. Like, when you think about people that are on the lower end as far as, like, social class, everything is presented to us, but how many opportunities do we have to present things to others?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, the people that are higher up, they usually block you out. That's why they put in clauses of monopoly, but there's still ways around that. When you have outstanding lawyers, but what I'm saying is, like, the whole system is so jacked up to the point where, like, you're on the bottom, you come up with the best event ever, right? Or invention ever, right? You're never going to get it to the top without having some type of assistance or playing your cards right, by outsmarting corporations, because they got so much money, they can tie you up in legal fees and they can essentially buy you out. That's why so many people have settlements about their ideas being taken or stolen that you never hear about, is because it's a dog-eat-dog world. So when you think about consumerism and those type of things, man, you got to keep in mind, like, this is an agenda that you can't control. Like, with the whole Jordan thing that I'm talking about, like, this is so sewed up in our mind, because not only did we witness somebody do these wonderful things in these sneakers we wear, but that person's still living and they still, supporting the brand. You get what I'm saying? Like, so that gives me every more meaning to invest into a product like that. You know what I'm saying? Marketing runs the world, whether you realize that or not. Like, you see marketing in movies all the time. Think about the Transformer movies that we talked about in previous episodes, where you see, like, Pepsi Cola, you'll see all type of other stuff. Like, you'll see, like, the General Motors vehicles on there, but you don't see nothing else out there. So, like, you got to think about those type of things, man. It's deeply rooted, but most times you don't focus on those type of things because you came there with the intent of watching whatever that was, or you have the intent of watching this show. You don't care to look at these commercials, but these commercials still come on because they got to take a shot at you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no different than you being a female or a male, but I'm more so referring to females, where guys shoot their shots up and down, like, from different ranges. You got the aggressive dudes that be like, hey, baby, what's up? There's no shame in their game. Then you got the slick dudes that will say something really slick and then hope that you bite on it. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the type of reality or world we live in as far as getting us to buy into something.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying, Joe, that from different ranges. but I mean, yeah, man, like you're saying, it's everywhere, and it's important to understand that and to kind of escape it. I mean, Joe, you and I were talking about, like, our headphones. I think we both have Beats headphones, and I think we were having a discussion. I was like saying that I've had these headphones. I mean, the ones that I have, they're $300 headphones. So
Mine ain't too far away from that.
Yeah, so I mean, mine like I saved for, and I think I got a bonus from work that I think I have. But I've had these headphones for almost maybe 4 years now, and like the inside, we were talking about like the inside of these headphones had like it's like part of the like the material has worn off. Yep. Or peeled back, and the foam on the inside is, it's been exposed. And I think we were just talking about, like, at least on my end, I was like, I'm good. Like, they still work, they still sound as good as they sounded when I first got them. So I didn't feel the need to like go out and buy a new pair of headphones, because they work. So I'm not too hard pressed about going out and getting more, but I start to think about maybe a younger version of myself that was still caught up in like buying things and like making sure that everything I had, like looked good and it like appealed to everyone. Like the mindset that I'm in now is that like it works. I'm good. Like I'm not, like I didn't buy these headphones for other people to enjoy. Like they're for me.
Exactly.
So
I'm all about buying things that are built to last at this point in my life.
Yeah, and I think, funny story, like today, I hate to buy, like I don't like to buy, I don't like the process of going to buy clothes. Like I enjoy maintaining what I have, but today these pants, I've been dogging them too. At this job I'm doing, like I was working today, and I was like driving one of the vehicles around. And I felt like this breeze. And then when I looked down, I'm like, oh man, I split my work pants at work. And then I asked like one of the people I work with, I was like, do you guys have like a spare or something so I can finish this shift? And they're like, no, we don't have anything. I was like, well, I just tried to hurry up and adjust myself just so I could get through the rest of the shift. But like I wore those pants until, I wore them into the ground. And I mean, I made a good deal of money in those pants. And I'm like, I was sad to see them go. Like I wasn't excited. Like I'm not excited that I'm going to have to get like another pair of work pants. But, I made sure that I got every ounce out of those pants. And if they didn't split the way they split, like I would have tried to sew them back together or something like that. But brother, you can't come back from this. And I'm not trying to catch a case with HR or something because my pants split and I'm out there exposed in the streets and somebody's not happy with that. So, but no, I mean, it's, like I said, and there's a concept that brings me that I like to discuss in this. It's called conspicuous consumption. And that's just the process of buying goods or luxury items to publicly display like your wealth. Like just intentional, like you don't need these items. You're just buying it just so like you can impress other people, show other people like how much you're worth for what, whatever the value that society places on people who show certain levels of wealth. And that's, I think, like I remember I was working, this was before I moved down here to South Carolina. I was doing this job. I was in this guy's house, and this was like a little sketchy. So it was a little sketchy area I was in, but I know how to maneuver. But I was in this like apartment, and this guy, he had these clothes on. Like this is the kind of spot like you're not gonna catch me here. Like if I wasn't working, I wouldn't be over here in this area of town. But I was trapped. Yeah, so I was in there, and I looked at this guy's clothes. He had these Jordans on. He had these like nice little pants on. He had this like jacket, like crazy designer jacket, had this jewelry on. And I'm like, bro, you live here. Your clothes cost easily, like his shoes, I think his shoes probably it cost more than everything I had on. Like everything that I had on. So, it was crazy that, I could tell that he places, emphasis on like these material goods that he has, because you're living like I'm like, bro, I'm like, you're living somewhere where you got to look over your shoulder, because I'm looking over my shoulder the whole time I'm in this apartment, because I'm familiar with with how things move in that kind of area. So So, just seeing that and just growing up around that too, like that's not something that's new to me. Like people go out, they spend their whole check just trying to buy something to keep up with other people, try to make themselves feel better. So, it's important. I think it's important to understand like why you're consuming goods, and what purpose do you think consuming those goods is it really has, because we're pushed like constantly. We're pushed to buy things like constantly.
And this is why you stay broke, because of those type of things. What's worked is the whole idea of people, sneakerheads such as myself, and Marcus used to be a sneakerhead too. He used to have more Jordans than me, believe it or not.
I graduated off that.
And then we changed over time. I still have a nice collection of shoes, but what I'm saying, like there was periods in my life more recently where I've held out years of buying Jordans. But what I'm getting to is we done placed so much value on shoes nowadays. They're worth more than gold, certain sneakers. And we done created a whole market for it at this point now. So I can't even talk down on shoes anymore. I'm just speaking from my experience at that point in time, because we didn't have things that were called StockX, which is literally a market exchange for sneakers. Whoever thought that would even be possible?
Yeah,
not me. And who's buying shoes off of there? Me. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, the dynamics have changed because we put so much emphasis on shoes to the point where it's that important, where you can make money. And unfortunately, you can lose money by investing in sneakers. We created a whole lane for that. And like I said before, they're worth more than jewelry. They're worth more than silver. And that's just some footwear.
And that's crazy. Like, that's crazy to me, just, thinking about how something, you just walk, like you're just walking in it to places. And you don't even hoop. People buy J's, you're not even hooping in those J's. You're just wearing them. Like you're just wearing them, like just because they're J's, and that's the thing that's popular. So it's weird to kind of see the motivations and why people buy things, and it's because I think what happens is we, like society, we just reinforce the behavior. So see somebody with some nice shoes, like, oh, those are nice. People like attention, whether you mentally can process that or not. Like, people, they just enjoy attention. You like somebody giving you like positive attention, and it's important just to see. I think it's important to see just like all the triggers that are around you that kind of push you to consume, and that's, you have to think of things like vehicles. Like, there's a new car every year of models that aren't canceled.
Yep.
So every year, if you're into purchasing new vehicles and having the latest and greatest vehicle, you're going to want to upgrade your vehicle every year, and that's something that has been, masterfully marketed. To upgrade your vehicle. Now there's options that make it easy to upgrade your vehicle, or even with video games, like sports video games. 2K20. 2K21 is gonna come out. They could just make a game great enough to where they could just do a little roster update and make it an add-on. But if you don't get that next version of that game, that you're not going to get to play with the new players. You're not going to get to see all that stuff. You can do it if you download certain things, but that's time consuming. Like, most people just going to scoop up that new one. So there's a lot of things that encourage us in society to go ahead and, just re-up on something or get the latest and greatest, version of it. And when everybody, if you don't have a good sense of self and a good sense of what matters, then you just get caught up. You get caught up in that. And, like, I think, as we're approaching time, you just think about all the other things and how people kind of get jammed up. I'll talk about this in the hindsight that we do on this, but like real estate and the debt, like you mentioned, Joe, just the debt and the consequences that are associated with someone who's like a victim of consumerism. Because I really think that like you're a victim. I don't think anybody, like if you're caught up in consuming items, just for the pure, you know, the pure activity of consumption, that you're a victim, because it's really not to make you feel good about if you're going out and buying stuff, but I mean, these things have been masterfully crafted to catch you up in a cycle of consumption. And, you know, these people spend a lot of time, they spend a lot of money into building these campaigns, this marketing and everything, to the point where it spills over and you just can't, I mean, you can't really escape it. You can't, because it's everywhere. So, you know, if you're you can go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, that's why we got credit cards, man, so we can keep spending and spending so it can promote other companies to get that revenue cycle going. You know, you got to understand things for what it is. You don't have to talk financials, because you're going to learn it by making poor decisions. So the best thing that ever happened to me was making poor decisions financially, to where I know how to move with my money a little bit better. And it's only going to get better, because I guarantee you in the future, I'm going to be making more dumb decisions from a financial standpoint. Not intentionally, but just because I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, it's no different than someone investing in themselves, trying to buy a foreclosed home and they're trying to flip it. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of cost and money that goes into that you don't even know about. But I guarantee you, after that first house, you know how to flip something better the next thing coming. So it's just all a learning curve. And, you know, if you don't learn, then, you know, you made a choice, obviously, to be stupid. So, you know, that's just what it is, man. I'll even get into some of the negative aspects of consumerism, you know. Number one thing that's inevitable is pollution. You know what I'm saying? Like, we destroying the environment based off the stuff that we're consuming. That's a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. Another one is a major contributor as well, and that's resource depletion. Like I spoke on jewelry earlier, like some jewelry is very valuable and it's still going up in the market. But you know what I'm saying? What do you think we're doing to the environment? Our resources, we're tapping into that because we're trying to sell it and make more money. This could even tie into weapons of mass destruction. You need some of those elements that come out of the earth to make those things that cost millions and millions of dollars to make. Let's talk about lead companies, develop low quality products. Like we just said, like we love Beats. Don't get us wrong. Beats is the stuff, but we know there's better out there too. We just know that Beats is at that comfortable price where we like, yeah, they're a little bit more than J's. They not as much as Bose. We know Bose is what it is, but we don't feel like paying that extra $100 to get Bose. So what we get Beats. And then, like he said, like about 6 months to a year in, depending on if you work out with your headphones or not, or how you utilize them, like the stitch and rip on them, the leather just peels off. They still sound good, but it ain't all good.
That's what I did. Working out in it is what fried them a little bit.
Yeah. And, they tell you it's built for that, and it's not with all that sweat. So, I mean, that's just what you get, man. That's the price you pay. Like, there's so many Beats that I went through. Like, I haven't had that many in my lifetime, but everyone I've had, there's been a complication within a few months. Whether it was the stitching or whether like the wiring in the headphone, didn't work. And that's just how it is based on the quality of the product. The next one would be promoting poor labor standards and pay for workers. You got to take that in consideration too. Last but not least would be, you don't necessarily lead to increased happiness beyond a certain point. So like we said earlier, like you doing consumerism based off of with hopes of making you happy. You get those J's in hopes that a chick say, "What's up? How you doing today? Those look nice." You know what I'm saying? You buy stuff like that to impress other people is really what I'm saying. Like, if you're fine with self, it gets to a point where, you realize those type of things and you keep a few more dollars in your pocket. So, it's just all about self-identity at that point.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got a lot. There's a lot more. I'm just going to cut myself off just because we've went over time for this, but this will be good. It'll be a good episode of Hindsight. We'll go into a lot more. I got a few stories. To share that I'm looking forward to. But and then we're gonna do an episode on curiosity as well. And I think this discussion plays well into that episode because, and this is the last thing, Joe, and I'll be done, is think about if you take the time to think about the things that you do. If you really took the time and you bought something, if you bought an item, and you really asked yourself, if you were curious enough to ask yourself, why did you buy this item? Did you need it or did you want it? And if you really took time to ask yourself that question, you would find that many of the things you purchased, like you didn't need these items, you just wanted them. And ask yourself why you're susceptible and why do you feel so inclined to go out and make a purchase. Like just ask yourself those questions and see what you find. You might not like what you find, but it's important to understand why we all engage in certain activities and why we all fall victim to certain systems that are in place. And it's important. Curiosity is important, and we're gonna talk about that. But that's it. I'm good for now.
For the record, what Marcus just touched on is the main reason why I peeled back on a lot of things. When I realized that life was real out here, you cut all those things. Well, one would hope you would cut all those things off so you can have a comfortable place to live at night, and you're not putting yourself in situations that will hinder your growth. So a lot of the times you kind of have to cut off your arm to save the rest of your body. So, that might be a big part of you as far as materialistic things. And that might be your thing. You know what I'm saying? That might even be something that you're known for. But when it gets to a point where, you have to provide for yourself, you got to cut it off, man. Otherwise you fall into the pit with everything else. So what you gonna do?
You got to figure it out. That's what you got to do. But
figure it out. Please do. Hopefully sooner than later. But there's a time and place for everything, man. But that's all I have to say, man. This has been a fun episode for me. So
yeah, for me as well. But if you're good, Joe, we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. So, hey, thanks for listening. We'll definitely, like I said, we'll continue this on Hindsight. Really looking forward to the Hindsights this month. We're probably gonna try to throw some different elements into it. I said we're gonna try, but no, we'll definitely extend the discussion on this, and I got a lot to say, a lot to share. So looking forward to that. And for everybody listening, please, there's a lot. I mean, we all know there's a lot going on in the world. So, do what you can to, stay safe and, take care of the people that you care about, and, reach out to people that matter to you too, if you have the time. Maybe they need somebody to check in on them.
Yeah, man, it's real out here. So with that being said, man, continue for our next episode, which is curiosity. It goes hand in hand.
All right. Take care. Be safe.
Peace.